In a small neighborhood, we meet Lila, a woman who lives alone with her son Ronnie ever since her husband abandoned them for another woman. The pain of abandonment has shaped Lila into a melancholic figure, constantly immersed in solitude. Ronnie, even though he is young, becomes his mother's main emotional support, always attentive to her well-being. One day, during a trip to the market, their lives change drastically when an injured man, Frank, appears in their path. Frank, visibly weakened, approaches Ronnie asking for help, but the boy refuses, prioritizing the company of his mother. Frank, however, insists and soon approaches Lila, asking for a ride. When he is refused, he threatens Ronnie, forcing Lila to accept. During the journey, Frank reveals that he escaped from prison after an attempted forced surgery. When they arrive at Lila's house, he moves in temporarily, promising that he will not harm anyone. What begins as a disguised kidnapping gradually turns into an unlikely coexistence. Over time, Frank gains a foothold in the household. Although he initially ties Lila down when he sees her image on television, he also cooks for her and shares stories from his past. Frank confesses that he has never intentionally killed anyone and tries to redeem himself by helping with the household chores. The relationship between him and Lila begins to evolve. One of the most striking moments in this story is when Lila reveals that she suffered several miscarriages after Ronnie was born, a detail that ended up contributing to the end of her marriage. Tension increases when the police begin to close in. Interestingly, this film was shot in just 37 days, a quick production for such an intense drama. Just like in the film, here we also see a prisoner romantically involved with a lonely woman, and both try to escape their painful realities. And if this story had been written as a zombie film, like 2002's 270 Days Later, perhaps Frank would be more of a literal threat than an emotional one, and not a man trying to rebuild his life. Lila, despite being scared, decides to protect Frank. As her son Ronnie witnesses this relationship unfold, he is haunted by the words of a classmate, Anna, who fears that Lila will abandon him just as her own mother did to her. Later, Ronnie is taken to dinner by his father and realizes that the man who raised him deeply regrets having left Lila, a clear sign that, no matter how much the mistakes of the past leave, the realization of what has been lost can be devastating. There is a curious point here. I would never allow a man who physically threatened my son to stay in my house, no matter how needy I was. But what I would do is seek to understand the pain behind his actions, as Lila tried to do. What is most intriguing about this narrative is the contrast between Frank's initial threat and his subsequent transformation, revealing the power of empathy and coexistence to change behavior. As the police close in, Lila and Ronnie are forced to lie to keep Frank safe. In one of the most tense scenes, Frank fakes the kidnapping of Lila and Ronnie to free them from possible charges. He turns himself in to the police, claiming he never meant to hurt them. A final gesture of love, sacrifice, and redemption, much like Frank's emotional surrender in Labor Day, when Josh Brolin's character decides to face his past out of love for the woman and boy who took him in. The story continues with Lila trying to defend Frank legally, but the charges against him are too serious. Frank is sentenced to 25 years in prison. Lila, devastated, sends Ronnie to live with his father. Years pass, and we see an adult Ronnie in love and applying the lessons of compassion and cooking he learned from Frank to his life. He even opens a restaurant in honor of those memories. When Frank writes saying he will be released, Ronnie responds with hope, saying that Lila is still waiting for him. In the end, Frank is released from prison and reunited with Lila. The emotion of their reunion is intense. They embrace, ending a cycle of pain, regret, love, and healing. It's a story that transcends crime and focuses on second chances. And most importantly, if you were in Adele's shoes, would you welcome Frank? Now I'll leave you with a fantastic film where several zombies come out of the ocean to attack the population, and a group of young people will have to stop this wave. Just click on the video on the screen and check it out. I'll see you there, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Stay well.